Single time since President Barack Obama took office nearly 8 years ago. But today, Congress overwhelmingly voted to override his presidential veto. It applies to the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, or JASTA, which will give families of 9/11 victims legal recourse against Saudi Arabia. RT's Manuel Rapolo is live on Capitol Hill for us with this one. Manny, talk to me about the significance of this override.
It's certainly an extraordinary decision by the U.S. Senate on the Justice Against Terrorism Act, override of President Obama's veto. It's extraordinary because this is the first time that this has successfully been done by Congress since the president became president of the United States. Now, for anyone that's unfamiliar with this legislation, JASTA, what it does is that it provides a legal recourse to families of the victims of September 11th to sue the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It implies complicity in the Saudi government in financing and aiding the terrorists that committed the attacks on September 11th. This is what Republican Senator John Cornyn had to say ahead of that vote in the Senate earlier today.
The financing of terrorism in the United States is not behavior we should tolerate from any nation, allies included. How can anyone look at the families in the eye and tell them that they shouldn't have the opportunity to seek justice against a foreign government responsible for the death of their loved one? The president has claimed that this legislation would result in a flood of lawsuits against Americans by foreign governments. Well, what the president ignores is that we're already being sued by foreign nations already under the current state of the law.
Now, again, that tally in the Senate today, that vote tally was 97-1. The only senator that voted against the override was Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid. And, you know, the controversy here among lawmakers is that this is seen as a slap in the face to the families of the victims of September 11th. This is what Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut had to say. Take a listen.
I urge my colleagues to move swiftly and soundly to reverse this veto, so that these families can have their day in court. That is what the legal system of this country is designed to do. It gives both sides a fair day in court. If it was culpable, it should be held accountable.
Now, what the White House has voiced in the past is that JASTA has the potential to erode the principle of sovereign immunity, thus damaging that relationship that exists between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Those that support JASTA, however, say that the bill would simply give the families of the 9/11 victims a place to be heard in court. Now, also today, the House of Representatives voted to override that veto as well. So this is historic, at least for the presidency of Barack Obama. This is the first time that Congress has successfully overridden a veto by the White House. Simone?
It's a big day, Manny. The Senate, though, always busy. This week, it also blocked legislation that would prevent a government shutdown. They have until Friday to keep the lights on. What can you tell us about that?
That's right. The Senate stopped a budget bill that would, like you said, keep the lights on. That would otherwise take effect on Saturday. Is this legislation? Democratic lawmakers are citing that the bill lacks funding that was promised to the city of Flint, Michigan, following the Flint water crisis. At the moment, this is a question of a bipartisan compromise. Democrats want those $220 million that were promised to the city of Flint that simply have not been delivered. That federal aid. Republicans have said that they promise that they're going to address this, make this front and center the issue of Flint, but they don't want to do that until after the elections. This has become a major sticking point between Democrats and Republicans who are saying that it's been since 2014 that this crisis has taken place and that federal aid is still not there. Now, the current version of the bill, as you mentioned, would keep the lights on until Friday, but it would stop the government shutdown, but it would renew the budget all the way through December 9th. It also provides $1.1 billion in delayed funding to fight the spread of the Zika virus. Now, even though there is a legislative deadline for Friday, bipartisan leaders in both the House and Senate do seem confident that they're going to find common ground, that they're going to find a compromise ahead of that legislative deadline. Simone?
Yeah, this budget battle is nothing new. RT correspondent Manuel Rapolo reporting for us from Capitol Hill. Thank you.